Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and look what we have here. Ripple Swell 2025 returns to New York City. It's happening November 4th through 5th, and we've just released the first wave of speakers. Don't miss 2 days of ideas shaping the future of crypto, blockchain, finance. So it's going to be in New York. They've already put out some of the speakers. This is very interesting, folks, because there's some big names on here already. Sandy Call, head of innovation, Franklin Templeton, who they've been working with Stellar for a long time, which gives us another little tie to Stellar. This is an interesting right here. Ryan Rugg, who's the global head of digital assets at Citi. That is huge. That tells me Ripple's going to be working with the big boys. I'm going to show you this one, and we'll go over that one in a minute. Global head of business development at Hidden Road. Global head of cryptocurrency at the CME Group, early investor in Ripple, of course, Stuart Alderati. This guy's from XTX Markets. Ashish Burla, who is a board member, but he used to be with Ripple. And Jack McDonald, who runs the RLUSD, or runs the stable coins. And then this guy, Vice President Trading and Markets at Ripple. But here's the interesting one. Carolyn Weinberg, Chief Product and Innovation Officer at BNY. That would be BNY Mellon. Well, in the group today, you know, we've been talking about the ties between Ripple and BNY Mellon for years. This goes back 5 to 7 years from now. And I'm going to show you some of those ties. Many of you, especially those of you who are not OGs, you've probably never seen a lot of this stuff, and it'll jump off the page at you. Almost like everything we're watching was planned long ago, but we'll do that in the group. XRP is warming up, according to Dark Defender. We shall see. And in the group, I also have a wild clip, in my opinion, from Trump. I think it's in there. I'll try to make sure it's in there. But this one's pretty interesting too. This guy, Trump, seems to be he seems to be determined to get interest rates lowered no matter what.
Jerome Powell, who you've been pressuring to lower interest rates, he's facing accusations of lying to Congress, which is a potential crime about the opulence.
Well, he should resign immediately. We should get somebody in there that's going to lower interest rates. Why don't you call for his resignation?
Do you want congressional Republicans to investigate and pursue?
It's okay with me. I think he's terrible. I think, look, we're paying, I call him too late. T-O-O, too late, like Too Tall Jones for the Dallas Cowboys, right? Too late. He's always late, but he wasn't late with Biden before the election. He was cutting him like crazy. It didn't help too much, did it? But he was cutting him like crazy before the election with Kamala and Biden. He was trying to get them in, I guess. I don't know. He was recommended by somebody that worked for me. I like you better.
If I could ask
So I think that we're going to get an interest rate cut right in line with the legislation and all this, and I think that it's all going to just be let go, and I think this market's going to go crazy. There's another thing happening right now that I'm noticing. I showed you a clip in the last video, I think, of Joseph Lubin on CNBC. You all know who Joseph Lubin is from Consensus. He was one of the first guys there at Ethereum. You know the history. But you know, because they were being looked at by the SEC for years, they went quiet. Well, now they're having to do it's obvious that they're ramping up the Ethereum PR campaign to cover up for past sins. You're starting to see it. I'll show you a couple of clips here.
How long before we start to see the main Bitcoiners starting to move in this direction, like Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy? Do you think they'll start to actually come into the ETH ecosystem?
The Bitcoin maximalists probably will never come into the ETH ecosystem. You know, I think I put him in the Bitcoin maximalist category. I don't think a lot of them move over. I think for people that are more, pragmatic and look at the utility that Ethereum brings, are going to look at it and be like, oh my God, this is really amazing.
And then we have this clip right here.
Like they missed on the Bitcoin wave. Ethereum represents that next wave. And, we're not just
It might be part of it, but XRP is my next wave.
buying a coin. We're putting our reserves into a protocol that powers trillions of on-chain activity. We believe Ethereum is becoming a new category for as a strategic corporate asset, like gold and treasury bonds once were, but with one difference. Ethereum is alive. It moves with technological innovation. It has tens of thousands of developers on chain, more than any other blockchain, including Bitcoin or Solana. And also, Ethereum captures real activity, real economic activity. As stable coin volumes grows, as tokenization becomes a thing, the fees generated by that activity flow back to ETH holders. And Bitcoin does not participate in that feedback loop, in that value loop. We believe Ethereum is where economic throughput is frankly heading.
Now, Bit Digital raised about $172 million and is using that capital to buy ETH. The company also sold more than 417 Bitcoin, which was the firm's entire remaining Bitcoin position.
So they're promoting ETH. Look at what else we have. Congress is considering the Clarity Act. So there's a push to a PR push to get this legislation, all this legislation on through. America voted pro-crypto. It's time for Congress to act. But I like what Good Morning Crypto did. He apparently, every once in a while I ask AI on Grok to do photos, and it does the same thing. Sometimes it gets the words wrong, but it got the most important part right, which is America voted XRP. I did. This is that 3IQ digital XRP ETF, and they said introducing the 3IQ XRP ETF, a strategic way to gain exposure to XRP. This ETF is designed to provide exposure to XRP's daily USD price movements and the opportunity for long-term capital appreciation, all within a familiar ETF structure. Then it goes on talking about XRP. I wanted to show you the page where they talk about it. Apparently they have zero, now this is a Canadian ETF is my understanding. They have zero management fee for the first 6 months. I don't know what the fee is after that. And then what else does it say here? And then secure institutional grade exposure to XRP. The fund invests in long-term holdings of XRP acquired from reputable trading platforms and OTC counterparties. Indirectly invest in XRP without the complexity of wallets, keys, and this will be the only thing some people are comfortable doing, folks. That's why it's so exciting. These ETFs that have to go out and buy XRP, this is massive, tax efficient. And then I looked up, went to this other page. Apparently, this is I don't know what the difference is here, other than this is US dollars. I'm not sure what these two things are, but it shows the daily NAV data, but you can basically, it looks like, get in from 10 to 14 bucks. Okay, that says USD, and that's okay. It's just USD versus Canadian dollar. That's about it, it looks like. But just think about all the options that are coming here, folks. And this is another interesting clip going around from the Robinhood CEO. Watch this one.
Customers in the past have been denied the dividends, but we've actually managed to figure out how to give customers exposure to that. So we want to give all the benefits of the crypto technology and of holding the underlying assets with as few compromises as possible. And I think Robinhood is rarely sort of like the first mover in various spaces. We tend to have an approach where we like to make sure others sort of do it first. And I think in this particular case, we think it's so important that retail has exposure to these companies and these assets that we saw an opportunity to give a robust offering.
And you mentioned launching this in the U.S. as well. Is there a specific regulatory change that you need in order to get this done?
Well, for tokenization in the U.S., we do believe that the SEC has the authority to make it happen without legislation, which is interesting. And you probably saw last week, Chairman Atkins of the SEC gave an interview about tokenization. He called it a great innovation. Mm-hmm. And we agree with that. We think tokenization is perhaps the biggest innovation to come into capital markets in the past decade. So I think the U.S. shouldn't be far behind. I think the opportunity is too large to ignore, not just for retail, but also institutional.
You're darn right it is. And then look what we have here, Federal Reserve Financial Services. Prepare to go live with ISO 222 on the FedWire Fund Service of July 14th with these testing and training resources. Things are about to get exciting, I have a feeling, folks. Okay, I'm going to show you the bizarre video, in my opinion, and I'm going to go over that BNY Mellon thing. This goes way back, and I'm going to show you how way back and some of the things that were going on. Boy, I've always thought BNY Mellon was right in there with Ripple. Join through DAIXRP.com. That's the Patreon. Or if you'd rather join through YouTube, click the join button below this video. If you'd rather join through X, just click the subscribe button. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Away we go.